You're starting to get older and you're thinking of looking after your health. And the most important muscle you want to focus on, the ticker, the heart. And the reason is, it is the life of your whole body. So in this video, short video, I'm going to just explain why, as we get older, we need to be more careful to look after our heart. 2, what you can do. And 3, things to be careful of or things to be mindful of. So let's get into it. Your heart started from day dot when you were born. So if you think about that in terms of it working, it's been working non-stop, day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out. You get where I'm going from. And you now may be 50, 60, 70 or even into your 80s. So you've got to understand that that muscle has been constantly contracting and pumping and pumping blood around the body. As we get older, the old heart starts to get a little bit tired. It gets a little bit weaker if we don't train it. That means it's not as efficient at pumping blood around the body, which can lead to things like fatigue and breathlessness as we get older. So you may be noticing yourself and thinking, hang on a minute, I used to do that job quite easily. Now muscles do play a part in that, and obviously muscles get weaker, you can't handle the same weight. But if you're starting to feel quite tired after certain activities, cycling, walking, general day-to-day things, it can be because your heart is actually experiencing atrophy. It's getting weaker. So what we need to do is we need to make sure we keep our heart nice and strong. We'll cover that in a minute. Next, the arteries become less elastic. That means they've got less give in them, which can then lead to things like strokes, etc. Because there's less blood objects being able to actually go through the arteries themselves. There is some good bits coming, I promise. All right, it's not all doom and gloom. We're always at higher risk as we get older, especially as we reach our 60s and over. You know, high cholesterol, diabetes, strokes, and the list goes on. But, and this is a big common thing that people always overlook. Whatever you've done in your past, whether you've been 20, 30, 40 and you've lived life the high life, you've pushed yourself, you drank a lot of alcohol, had a bad diet, a very stressful career, you can undo a lot of the damage that you may have done from changing your lifestyle habits, which we'll cover in a bit. There is no point in thinking, well, I've led a wild lifestyle and there's no point in making any changes, I'm just going to kind of carry on as I am, because that will lead you to a shorter lifespan. So now we've got out of the way, let's jump straight into it. The big benefits of looking after your heart is going to be, you're going to have a longer life expectancy, you're going to have more energy, you're going to feel better in yourself. And to be honest, those 3 things, that's convinced me more than enough. Now, what we need to do is look at the things that we know can improve your heart. And one of the most important things we should be doing every single week is 150 minutes of aerobic exercise every single week. And we like to break these down into 5 lots of 30 minutes. You may be thinking that going to the gym 5 times a week is too much. And I agree, 5 times a week is quite a lot. So it doesn't have to be 5 times per week. It can be 2 or 3 walks, followed by 2 gym sessions. But what we need to do is we need to get the heart rate up. We need to make sure that we're actually challenging the body, getting a sweat on, and get into an uncomfortable talking pace. So, if you're going to the gym and you're talking how I am now, you are definitely not working hard enough and you need to up the ante. I work on what's called a rate of perceived exertion. You can look at heart rate, however I find it gets too technical. The rate of perceived exertion you want to be achieving is anything between a 6 to an 8. If you have a pre-existing heart condition, then I would be recommending anything between a 6 and a 7. But what I mean by that is, you warm up, you're starting off at a 0, as we are now, you're gradually warming up and you're building your body up, you're getting a bit warmer. What happens then, you should finish your warm up on about kind of a 5, starting to get a little bit out of breath, but still holding full conversations. What you then want to do is spend a good 20 to 30 minutes of keeping that heart rate up between a 6 and an 8. That means you can speak sentences, but you should be taking a breath after every sentence. You should be sweating a bit, and you should be feeling your muscles working. If you're doing that, that is great. And optimally, you're looking at 5 times per week, 30 minutes. However, if you're doing absolute zero deadlift squat, then the recommendation would just be to go once or twice a week. Build up 3 times a week, build up 4 times a week, and gradually get that 5 times in. The 5 times don't never exist, and you might only ever be able to achieve 3 times per week. But I would say 3 times a week is so much better than what you're currently doing if you're doing zero. Another thing I like to look at is when you're in your 20s and 30s, your teens, you're sprinting around and you're hammering it. However, what's very different is as we get older, we need to look after our body more. So I would avoid doing things like sprint-based training and very, very explosive exercises like squash. I would be toning it down and being more casual with your exercise. Long distance cycles, swims, walks, light jogs, those kind of things will be perfect for you. And I'm a massive believer in that will achieve more longevity than doing very much extreme explosive exercise like sprint training or squash, very aggressive stuff. Your body likes to get up to a pace and maintain it as we get older, and that's what we're trying to achieve with this. We also want to look at other lifestyle habits, and we'll go deeper into this series as we go on my YouTube channel. But big things we want to look at: diet, sleep, stress is a huge, huge thing we need to be looking at, which is like things like meditation, relaxation, mindfulness, not overstressing at work, all those kind of things. Smoking and alcohol are 2 massive indicators to bad heart health. So if you're smoking, reduce it or stop it. If you're drinking quite a lot, reduce that down. And the average estimate is to have a maximum of 14 units per week. Personally, I think that's still too much. I would recommend a couple of glasses of wine or a couple of pints of lager, maybe on the weekend, if you're going to drink at all, and that would be it. I'd be ditching those midweek pints because that's what affects your sleep and affects your stress, etc. And the list goes on. Remember, we've got to look after the muscles as well. So we're going to incorporate this heart rate based training that gets us the heart rate up, but your first thing in the gym or exercise class should be about working your muscles first of all. We go warm up, we work with weights, and then we finish off with a good 20 or 30 minutes to get our heart rate up. It's so important because it's about improving your life and also increasing your life expectancy. The whole aim of the game is to increase the years you live, but also improve the quality of your life. And you cannot do that without training your heart and keeping yourself fit and healthy. So don't watch this anymore. Get to the gym, get out on that bike, go for that swim, and make sure you aim for those 5 sessions of 30 minutes every single week. If it's too much for you, gradually build up and start slowly. I'll see you next week for a brand new episode.